One more note, one more breath, one more go is all I get this time around. One more night to sing a song, see the light, dance along an empty floor I've come to know quite well. I've been lost underneath its spell, just for now. Bid to you farewell. Dig my heels in, do my best, try to forget all the rest. Remember my good intentions. Caught up in the whirlwind of, forgot about my faith in love to make the whole thing disappear. I've been lost, the fog's begun to clear. Just for now, I'll patiently wait here. If every note is my last, light a fire, strike a match. Tomorrow comes, my voice is lost. At least I'll have had one more song. One more note, one more breath, one more go is all I get this time around. This time around. This time. This time around. jagged metronome of typewriter keys. A simple thought brings you to me, and I'm thankful every day. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. In a time when we want it all, everything so fast. Write a text, no time to call. To slow down, oh I pray. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. I'll write to you with ink from a pen. Feel the weight as the words sink in. My mind moves too fast for my hand. I need to tell you this while I still can. It was so dark that warm summer night. I much prefer it to the bright blue light. And I feel the need to say, I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. I'll write to you with ink from a pen. Feel the weight as the words sink in. My mind moves too fast for my hand. I need to tell you this while I still can. Jagged metronome of typewriter keys. Another page done, my soul at ease. And I'm thankful every day. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way. I'm so glad I found you the old-fashioned way.